Psychology is the new firewall, where human insight trumps every trick. We're not hacking systems, we're hacking behaviors so you won't click. No complicated code, just tried and true brain science at play. Social engineering for good, the best defense is in your mind today.
Hello and welcome to Fishing for Answers, where the carrot beats the stick and we flip the script on the bad guys, turning humans from easy targets into the strongest line of defense.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong solely to the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of their employers or sponsors. We're seasoned security professionals, but this is a conversation, not a custom consultation. Need specific guidance? Reach out to Joshua Crumbaugh directly.
Get ready. Fishing for Answers starts right now.
All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Fishing for Answers. Today we have Jay McKickle. He is the CISO over at Oceaneering, but I'm sure I can't do you justice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself here?
Sure. Jay McKickle, recently at Oceaneering, been here about 6 months, starting kind of reshaping the program here. Been in oil and gas for about 15 years, a couple of different industries, different lines of product, different threat landscapes. So really happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, okay. So you mentioned that you've only been there for 6 months. I know when you start as a new CISO, there's often some things that surprise you. What was your biggest surprise there, if you don't mind me asking?
I would say maybe a lack of governance. The fact that, policies were there, they were in place, they weren't really quickly and easily accessible. Regimen wasn't put in place. People weren't really relied upon to enforce them. We have, we have a government side of our business, which is tightly regulated. We have our commercial side of our business, which is thought to be regulated as well, but we kind of saw some gaps there. So that was one of the things I was easily able to step into and say, hey, we need to really start focusing on some of these things. We have policies. Maybe it's time to update those policies, modernize those as we modernize the technology that we use to enforce them.
Awesome. So this podcast, the whole goal around it is identifying and building a bigger, better framework, if you will, around the human element. It's part of my social engineering for good, initiative. So one of the new questions that I'm starting to ask every episode is, what is the best sort of mental hack that you've found throughout your years to really get people that don't care about cybersecurity to engage and care a little bit more?
Great question. There's no silver bullet, unfortunately. There's not a prescription that someone can write that says this is the way to do it. I have tried with meeting with the business, aligning to become a business security partner with the business so that they understand what we're trying to do, what speed we're trying to do it at. I've tried showing different businesses the statistics of what the threat actors try to do, what we do when people do try to make it in, how we're using controls to keep them out, training and awareness, phishing training, stronger controls, MFA. There's, I would say, 6 to 10 top ways that we try to integrate with the business and kind of get them to understand our direction and what we're trying to do. And it's not even a one-time visit. So I meet with SVPs once a quarter, and I kind of let them know, hey, here's some of the statistics of what we're seeing. Here's how many threats were stopped. Here's how many logs we're getting. Here's how many people it takes to do this. by the way, some of these, each of the individual businesses, maybe one business may be more of a concern to us from a cybersecurity perspective than another business. And when we have those in the same room, like, hey, business A, this week you had, or this quarter, this month, you had this type of threats brought to us from your particular business unit. And you're like, well, wait a minute, how do we do better? So I have found that having the SVPs align and having awareness around where they compare against the other portions of business seems to help us the most.
That makes perfect sense. And one of the things that I like that you said there was, showing them how many attacks that have been blocked and just how big the threat actually is against your specific organization. So the foundation for this whole thing is, or I guess the foundation for the framework is a behavioral science principle and formula that was developed out of Stanford University's behavioral science lab, excuse me, by a guy named BJ Fogg. And what he said was that if we want to change behavior, we have to have motivation plus ability plus prompting. And if we lack any one of those, we're not going to be successful. And so I bring that up to ask if that sort of, I don't know, triggered any thoughts as I mentioned those three different ingredients.
It does. A lot of the training and awareness that we do for phishing, we have some guidelines that when we do our phishing and training awareness programs, if they click on the link, then they've got to go back through the training and awareness program, which is not always well received. Like, I was busy. Well, that's how they get in, right? So the training awareness program works really well for us. We've had people that have pushed back on us. I'm not doing the training, or I didn't mean to click it, or I didn't click it. So, us having to prove that they actually did click it was actually surprisingly a big task that we did finally accomplish. And then on top of that, if they do it more than 3 times, then it goes to HR. So having HR and legal backing that on us, and some of the reprimand that come out of that is, it can be a write-up in your actual formal documentation with the company. It could be loss of internet access. It could be limitation to your job, and or it could lead to termination. So I would say legal and HR really backing us has really helped us a lot, because before they were like, hey, I'm just here to do my job. You can't tell me what I can and can't do. So strengthening those policies, modernizing them, defining what one of our assets is, what the asset is intended for. Here's the repercussions for going outside of that, putting in guardrails on helping the users to enforce what they do on our particular assets, and having legal and HR back us for when there is one of those guardrails that are tripped. It's kind of in a full circle 360 ecosystem that's helped us.
So I guess with that, I've got to ask the question, because those sounded a little bit heavy on the stick. Carrot versus stick. If you could only pick one, which are you choosing?
I'm going to go with carrot. I'm definitely a carrot person.
Okay.
But sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes people, their actions versus intent sometimes differ. Could be I'm busy. Could be that you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm sure you're aware of kind of what we do, and we have, we've got employees in dozens of countries, different languages, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. So we have to combat those, and we have localized HR that help us with that. And we start with the carrot. I don't think we really ever follow in with the stick, so to speak, but the carrot definitely helps and try to get that business partnership and help them understand why we're doing what we're doing. It's not just something for us to do, right? There is a legitimate reason. And sometimes when we show them some of the statistics for people trying to get in and what they've done in other industries and other businesses and businesses that have crumbled, you don't want to be the guy that's holding the carrot in your hand and also the stick, and you haven't done anything.
That's fair. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I've got close to or a little over 2 million users. And one of the things that I've seen, and it's happened multiple years in a row, it seems to be the same number every year, but it's a different user. And what happens is that I've got these users that are my biggest chronic clickers when they first come onto the system. And basically, the more they click, the more frequently they're going to be phished until their susceptibility drops, right? And so we can rack up some really high phish clicks over the course of a year. And the record has been tied at 11 clicks for the past 4 years in a row. And what I found interesting is that when I follow up on these users who, scored the record for the year out of all of my users across all of my different companies, they are the ones that clicked the most. That year 2, year 3, year 4 follow up, well, I guess year 3 follow up, we haven't done the year 4 follow up yet. It's always, they are one of my not most secure users, but they're not a problem anymore. They're not a chronic clicker. If they get any clicks that next year, it's 1. It's not 11. It's not even 3. And one thing that stood out to me about that was that it seems like people almost have to build that muscle memory, or what I like to call human virus definitions. And some people are just terribly susceptible, and they have to click on each and every different type of phish to learn. One mistake doesn't really help them because, well, that was a Facebook phish, and this one's completely different. It's Microsoft. Have you seen any of that?
No, I would say we've got some pretty good phish training in place. The fact that there is a repercussion, the fact that we do have, messages and links that are within our emails that let them know, hey, by the way, this is an external email. Those type of awareness and banners do help. But I think that the muscle memory, like, man, I really do not want to go through that training again. They have started to look, they've started to take the techniques that we give them in those videos, but they're still, oh, that looked legitimate because they're getting better, right? AI is getting better. They're not, people from certain countries writing these anymore. They've got AI. They've gotten really, really good. So we've got to have, on top of that, we've got to have even better training. So I would say it's got that muscle memory is there, but it's always a new user. It's somebody that's extremely busy. It's the typical characteristics of a person that clicks on a phish is still what we're up against.
Yeah. So going back to that formula, I feel like we all do pretty good on motivation. We understand what motivates people. We do try to tie things back to their family, their income, their ego, the different things that help them. I finally see our industry spending more time and ability, but we'll circle back there in a minute. And I like that. But prompting, I feel, is most often the weakest link. And basically what it says, the formula says, is that even if we make it really easy for them and we've got them really motivated, if we don't remind them constantly, they're not going to remember it. It's not going to stay front of mind. What are you doing for that continuous prompting, if you will?
So we approach it in a couple different ways. During town halls, we mention it, global town halls, IT town halls. So our screensavers pop up, they have, cybersecurity messages around clicking links and, tailgating and things of that nature.
Integrate everywhere. I love it.
SharePoint, so our internal web page or SharePoint page, our messages that go out. It's you're right. It is a constant, remind.
Oh, you have to. I mean, people like you and I, we think about cybersecurity on our own, but that's our job. That's literally our career. That's where we make our money. For that guy that works on the deck of an oil rig, he does not think about cybersecurity on his own. He's going to have to be reminded. He's going to have to be prompted.
Yes. And those guys, you're right. They are what I would call removed from the corporate office. They're not constantly reminded, right? And they don't always check email. They're not always getting a screensaver prompt because they may be on an oil rig or a vessel or somewhat where they've got a shared PC, so it's not constantly in their face. Where we do publish our message of the day, if you will, on vessels, in the kitchen, we do put up posters. We try to make it fun, try to make it entertaining. We've done things where they have, like, let's say at a holiday party, right? There's a white elephant gift. One of them is actually a phishing link. So when you open the gift, you're like, you just got phished. Like, dang it, right? So just trying to make it fun and not making cybersecurity such that carrot stick, right? More than not, less of the stick, more of the carrot. Making it fun, making it like, this is all right. Okay. But I think the competitive edge also, and where one SVP may compare themselves to another SVP with maybe a click rate or, cyber statistics of events and logs and of things that may have progressed within their environment, has really helped us that we also have the SVPs when they have their individual meetings. Hey, we're doing good. We're doing better than, this other particular part of our business where we're here, and here. Cybersecurity says thank you, right?
Yeah.
How often do you? And I've never been in any other place that you've gotten that type of message. It's more like less of the carrot, more of the stick. Like, hey, you're doing this, versus we're saying, hey, you're only doing this.
Yeah.
Good job. And by the way, you're number 2 in the company for your particular business in this particular area. To where people are like, I want to keep doing good. I want to stay on the dean's list, right? So that has helped us.
Absolutely. And I don't believe in leaderboards directly for the individuals. I mean, leaderboards, sure, but wall of shame and whatever, telling them what the bottom rankers are when it comes to individuals. But when it comes to departments, when it comes to divisions, I am all about it, because that SVP is not just the one individual. It's not them that's showing up there. It's their whole division that's showing up there. And I think a little bit of that internal camaraderie can be very healthy. I have seen it get very unhealthy very quickly, where some SVP that doesn't really understand psychology, behavioral science as well, just goes very punitive, like, guys, you're not going to make us look bad. And all of a sudden it backfires a little bit too. So I think you have to be careful. But that's just a matter of coaching. When you're building those internal champions, you coach them on how to work with their team.
Well, a lot of our SVPs, they're positive influencers. They're not negative influencers, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey guys, we're doing great. We may have had this mess up. We may have this happen, but hey, we're doing great. Let's keep it up. Let's keep moving forward. We're keeping the company safe. We're keeping the company profitable. Let's just keep doing it. And they just move on, right? And people hear those. Well, you don't have to stay on it and harp on it and drill it down. You kind of just briefly mention it, and it shows alignment. And then they hear it over here. And then they come to a town hall and they see it on an email. Like, man, when you have the CEO that stands up at an IT town hall and says, thank you, cybersecurity. Y'all doing a great job. We really appreciate y'all aligning with us and helping us and being a business security partner. That really resonates. And then it comes to the SVPs, and it comes to, it just kind of flows down to where we're all on the same team, right?
Oh, yeah.
Want you to be safe. I want cybersecurity to help with that safety. I want to continue doing business. I want to help doing our partnerships with our businesses and our users. So like I said, that whole ecosystem really works well when it comes from the CEO.
Oh, yeah. It goes back to being business enablers. When we're business enablers, we don't get all the kickback from the rest of the organization. Like, so many of us did, I don't know, a couple decades ago. So
yes, into that.
Okay, so let's move over to ability just for a second here, because I think that's another really critical element. And basically it says that no matter how much we remind people and no matter how motivated they are, If it's too hard for them to do it, they're not going to do it. And so one of the things that we've done for Ability is started delivering all of our awareness videos directly to the user's email, so they don't have to go anywhere and log in. We keep them very short, 30 seconds or less. And the idea was that we didn't want a doctor to have to choose between doing their training and saving a life. We wanted them to be able to do it on their cell phone, walking between patient rooms. But I think the doctor's the extreme case here, and it goes way beyond that. Now, I bring that whole thing up to ask, what are you doing to make it easier? Because I think that's one thing our industry's finally figuring out, is that when we make security the easiest option, it becomes the default option.
Yes. So we used to do, it was like a 45-minute training. We had to do it once a year. Now, again, we have two separate businesses, right? We have the government side, we have our commercial side. Government side is a little more tightly regulated. The training is a little bit more frequent. And that the two environments are air gapped. But from a high level, and talking in average median here, we would take those trainings and break them up, right? So now they're more like, maybe they're 9 5-minute videos, and it may ask one particular question. I don't give the keys to the kingdom away here, but it may ask one particular question like, what color shirt was Bobby wearing, right? So it's not just the material that they're listening to and that they're repeating and reciting. Okay, do this for an email, look at this and look at here over here. It's more about, broader picture. Bobby was wearing a blue shirt, and they even made a joke about Bobby and his blue shirt and how the email was blue, just resonating and pull something together. And then rotating it, right? So Bobby's shirt's not always blue. Maybe it's green, maybe it's yellow. So the users don't really learn how to game the system. They don't really have, if I want to ask you, it's the shirt's blue, right? That was particularly helpful as well. But breaking the training up and making it smaller, and giving them, let's say 3 months to complete, 9 5-minute videos. And if you want, you can just knock them all out consecutively, one after another, and just knock them all out. But you've got a longer period of time, and each of those videos that they do break it out over a longer period of time have carryover and overlap. So it's kind of a reminder of the first one they watched is in the second one. The third has pieces of number 1 and number 2 in it. So they're really just getting the same video from a higher level, almost over, a period of 9 video courses. They're getting a lot of the similarities amongst it. So if they do break it up, which they always choose to break it up, they're just getting reminded, every 2 or 3 weeks of the same training.
Okay. So I guess the one thing we really haven't talked about yet, which I think is really critical now, is AI and how that's impacting everything from a user and awareness perspective, from a policy perspective. Just talk to me a little bit about what you're doing there, because AI is here to stay and the users are going to use it. So what do you do to help mitigate that risk? What are you doing around policy? Just the gauntlet there.
Sure. So we have a CDO that runs our AI program, and he and my GRC team have worked together to create some AI guardrails. And so we have AI governance, we have some guardrails, some policies. Then we built my architecture team has built some security reference architecture, kind of a blueprint for if you want to build an agent, you want to build an LLM, you want to implement MCPs. So the different types, here's a blueprint. So it's kind of like you pulling up saying, hey, I want a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2-car garage. Yeah. But we have that, right? Here's your format. Here's your controls that you need. Here's your format, your foundation for what you need to build. So kind of giving them that, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, give them some options that are the options that work for you, work for your environment, make risk assessments extremely fast. They know exactly what they need to go get. So when they're talking to, partner A and, hey, we want to do this. And they say, well, here's your recommendation. They can say, well, here's my blueprint that I need to follow. Do you guys have these controls embedded within your platform? So when Mythos pops up and, hey, we want to, we want to use this, we want to leverage that. Well, does it meet the guidelines? Does it meet the framework? Does the governance kind of align with this?
Yeah.
And just building that muscle memory and giving them the boundaries to stay within has helped us so much. Now there's the other 50% that don't follow that, or want to be early adopters, or want to get into the
ground. I was going to say that's great for the developers. What about the project managers that just found out that they could write code?
That's a whole nother area that we're still working on. Unfortunately, I can say we haven't completely solved for it, but giving them a sandbox to go play in, putting controllers on the sandbox, giving them, not real data, taking scrubbed or masked data, sticking it in a repository and letting them run at it, learn at it, so they take those findings from a POC before they move it into production. That's kind of our direction that we're trying to move with it. So, hey, you want to play, go play. But, let's put you in this room. Let's give you a certain few number of toys, see how it works, see what it does for you. And then as you graduate from the POC and you want to go to production or dev test prod, let's see how those governance and all the regulations and rules and everything that we need you to do. Otherwise, we need to evaluate what you're doing, how you're going to be doing it. And then it goes down into a whole nother level of, is it PII data? Is it SOX data? Is it restricted confidential data? So we got to get our data sovereignty team kind of built into that and get them included and involved and see what's going on there. Then we got to look at country. So it really does start to spiral, but it does have,
I can tell.
It does have a lot of questions, which brings me to our risk assessment that we are redoing. We've revamped our risk assessment program to start including data types, data locations, countries, PII data. And we have POCs that allow, that kind of trigger some of those typical elements that they want to do. And it's really starting to work.
Okay. That's awesome. I know that's something that everybody's dealing with a lot. And I pick on project managers because, every company has quite a few, typically, project managers that have been asking for a tool for a very specific problem. They've never gotten approval for the tool, and now they can write it. And I got to say, I've seen some very, very impressive stuff that have come out of project managers. So I think there's some value there, but then you've got all the concerns about architecture, because they're not technical. They don't necessarily know how to build these things securely from the ground up. And unlike the development team, they don't have access to the CI/CD pipeline.
That's correct. And so that's funny that you do mention that. So some of that CI/CD pipeline, some of our SDLC and our app dev and our app sec and how they want to do things. And they have, developer laptops, they're isolated, they're sitting, in an enclave. So we have some guardrails around that. And people not understanding that those are developers. And I'll use your example. I'm a project manager, but that developer over there has the ability to do this. Why don't I? He's a developer, right? So trying to find that middle ground of hey, you want to play, here's our playground, go play in it. And quickly they want to get out of that playground because it has too many restrictions. It's not real data. It can be a challenge, but risk assessing, understanding what they're trying to do, flagging risk, and raising the exceptions as needed, has really brought awareness. Now, does that stop shadow IT? No, not really. Does that mean they're not going to do something at home and try to bring it back into the office once it's built? Not really, right? But different controls on our endpoints do help with that. But where there's a will, there's a way, right? They're always going to keep trying. So back to the advertising, not just phishing emails, but cybersecurity and locking your screen. And we have a program in which we try to encourage people. Hey, you want to do something? You want to be a developer one day? You want to be you want to code in AI? You want to learn AI? We can help you with that. But come work in our environment where that is expected, and we want you to come play, so that we are working together as business security partners before you go off and create something and it's taking our real financial data and uploading it to the internet, and then we have an issue, right? So you don't want to be the guy that stood there that let the guy through the door, but be proactive and be with us so we can partner.
Yeah. I like that you said advertising, because to me, that's what I see all of security awareness. And I say that really with almost air quotes around it, because I think there's a lot of evangelizing that is far beyond just security awareness that you end up having to do. But regardless, I like that you said advertising, because I've always seen it as advertising to our users. And that's actually where our inspiration came from. Well, let's make every video under 30 seconds. Let's hit them at least twice a week. And we started doing some things like that. And it's amazing. You can email users or have them watch a 30-second video every single week of the year, and you're not even taking up 30 minutes of their time on average. So it's a really, really, great way to keep people engaged. And I truly do see it as advertising, because it's the exact same goal. What do advertisers want to do? They want to influence your decision making, so that at the time you're ready to buy, you choose them. I mean, well, we're trying to influence users' decision making. So at the time they're ready to click or whatever it happens to be, they stop and they think about, the cybersecurity team and their role and the responsibility in it.
Yep. And we do things just not just training, but so we do, physical and socialization type threat hunting, if you will. So we do tailgating exercises.
Okay. Yeah.
We do socialization where we try to, social engineer, not just a user, but our help desk. We
Nice.
have them checking to make sure that they're going through the right protocols, and somebody said, "Oh, well, I don't have this, I don't have that." Well, no problem, right? Or we have our users now like, "Hey, can I get your phone number? Let me call you back." So just because you can obfuscate, you can mask your phone number to look like it's coming from something else, so people really don't know, right? So we're like, hey, if you're in doubt, hang up and call the main number and ask to get back to that person's extension. We won't be upset. It may slow you down 60 seconds, but you don't want to be the person that let the guy in the door.
Well, and I mean, in today's day and age, with deep fakes being the regular, almost every CISO I talk to has seen deep fakes already.
Yes.
Which we've got very little time, but when I get done, I want you to tell us if you've seen any, and maybe a little bit about it if you can. But I mean, I think that it's policy and procedure, most specifically procedure, that will save us in the day and age of deep fakes, because that's the one thing they can't get around.
Yeah, and all it takes is second validation. Just like
Yeah.
you go to a website, you got MFA, right? So you got somebody, you're getting a feeling or something that seems off, it's okay to hang up and call back.
Yeah, that's why the number one thing that we teach our users is trust your gut. Because I've never been in an incident where the person doesn't say, well, something fell off, I should have known better. They always say that, which tells me that if they had just trusted their gut, we could avoid most cybersecurity incidents.
Yep. I have the same thing. I reach out to a user, hey, I'm following up on this request. And they're like, why is this CISO contacting me about a ticket for my developer laptop? Do you mind if I'll call you back? Absolutely not. And they'll call back, okay, I just want to make sure this is good. I'm like, you know what? You just passed my test, right? I mean, that's great. And
you need right, like swag to give them for that,
You say that. I actually do that in my team meetings. My all hands I do once a month. I hand out swag.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's very effective what a ball cap or a t-shirt can do for, just people's mental state and drive.
Yep. And one last thing, you asked what we do for AI, and we talked about AI governance and guardrails. And AI is here; it's not leaving. So we battle AI with AI. That has been our new push here lately. Is when
you have to.
Yeah. So I mean, they're moving fast. We've got to move fast, right? And we have seen some dramatic improvements in the past 6 weeks with some of the AI initiatives that we're doing and some of the AI security tools that we're using. I am impressed.
Yeah. I agree. I think that it's the first time that we have an opportunity to level the playing field but it only levels out if we fight AI with AI or fire with fire, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, I love it. It's been amazing. The stuff how fast it can correlate, stuff that it takes 4 hours for a SOC engineer to correlate, and it's done sub 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, I mean, I asked an agent to start a task this morning that would take a normal human probably 6 to 8 weeks to get done. And when I started the call, it was already about 50% of the way there. So
wow, love it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And I mean, and it's ridiculous the fact that we can be on calls talking to each other on a podcast and have these AIs out there working for us and just getting so much work done. It's insane.
Yes. Love it.
Gotta love it. Well, hey, thank you so much. It's been a fabulous episode, and I'll have to check in with you again next season and just see how things are going over there at Oceaneering.
Please do.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Thanks. Bye.